She purchased the required animals and presented them to the prophet. The ritual was performed, and as the prophet prayed, Emily and Elizabeth suddenly regained their senses. They looked at each other in confusion, and for the first time, they saw themselves as sisters, not lovers. The realization was both shocking and liberating. They understood that their feelings for each other were a result of the curse, and that they could never truly be together. With heavy hearts, they made the difficult decision to part ways, vowing to remain close as sisters, but never to engage in a romantic relationship again. As Emily and Elizabeth began their new lives apart from each other, they struggled to come to terms with their past. They had to relearn how to interact with each other as sisters, rather than romantic partners. It was a difficult and painful process, but they were determined to move forward. Mrs. Acquia, who had been filled with regret and guilt over her role in her daughter's curse, was relieved to see them healing. She did her best to support them, cooking their favorite meals and listening to their stories. One day, as they sat down to a meal of fufu and light soup, Emily turned to Elizabeth and said, "You know, I've been thinking. We were so blinded by our feelings for each other that we never stopped to think about what was right or wrong." Elizabeth nodded in agreement. "I know. I've been thinking about that too. But I've come to realize that our love for each other wasn't wrong. It was just misplaced." Emily smiled. "Exactly. And I'm grateful that we can still love and support each other, even if it's not in a romantic way." As they finished their meal and began to clear the table, Mrs. Acquia looked on with pride. She knew that her daughter still had a long way to go, but she was grateful to see them healing and growing. As they washed the dishes together, Emily turned to Elizabeth and said, "You know, I've been thinking. Maybe our story can serve as a lesson to others. Maybe it can help people understand that love comes in many forms, and that it's never too late to seek help and guidance." Elizabeth smiled. "I like that idea. And who knows? Maybe our story can even help others avoid the mistakes we made." As they finished washing the dishes and began to dry them, Mrs. Acquia looked on with a sense of hope. She knew that her daughter's story was one of redemption and healing, and she was grateful to see them using their experiences to help others. The three of them sat down to a quiet evening together, watching the stars twinkle to life outside their window. As they sat there, Emily turned to Elizabeth and said, "You know, I'm grateful for our journey. It's been difficult, but it's taught us so much about love, family, and redemption." Elizabeth smiled. "Me too, sister. Me too." And as they sat there together, surrounded by the quiet peace of the evening, they knew that they would always be there for each other, no matter what. Moral lessons. 1. Love knows no boundaries, but it must be guided by wisdom and morality. Emily and Elizabeth's love for each other was genuine, but it was misplaced. Their story teaches us that love must be guided by wisdom and morality. 2. Desperation can lead to devastating consequences. Mrs. Acquia's desperation for a child led her to seek help from a wicked sorcerer, resulting in a curse that almost destroyed her daughter's lives. 3. Seeking help and guidance is a sign of strength, not weakness. Mrs. Acquia's decision to seek help from prophets and pastors ultimately led to the lifting of the curse and the restoration of her daughter's relationship. 4. Redemption and healing are possible. Emily and Elizabeth's story shows that no matter how dark or difficult our circumstances may be, redemption and healing are always possible. Food for thought. 1. What are the consequences of our desperation? How far are we willing to go to get what we want, and what are the potential consequences of our actions? 2. How do we define love and relationships? What are the boundaries and guidelines that govern our relationships, and how do we determine what is healthy and what is not? 3. What role does seeking help and guidance play in our lives? How often do we seek help and guidance, and what are the benefits of doing so?
Thanks for watching. Please like for more stories and leave your thoughts in the comment section. Do not forget to share this story with your friends, your family, in fact, all your loved ones. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.